what motivates you to get up every morning and specifically build on Bitcoin?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, the thing with Bitcoin is we have to look at it holistically, really, because there are a lot of projects in the space, like you mentioned. And over the years, it might interest a few folks to know that initially I was quite open to Ethereum when I was going into space like 2017, 18, to a point where I actually thought it was at least a viable competitor to Bitcoin. But then later on, I realized the amount of complexity on that type of system will only keep increasing, especially with going to switching from proof of work to proof of stake, because they're essentially trying to reinvent the wheel. So there's that. So a lot of what happened over time was me understanding some of the unique properties about of Bitcoin, so to speak. So things like, censorship resistance. There isn't any other project that has that type of capability. So we're talking about right now, I guess what you'd be saying is having it as being a superior monetary system, really, and monetary network from perspective of allowing global, cheap, instant payments, via the Lightning Network, for example, and even on-chain Bitcoin as well. It allows you to have a system that doesn't discriminate, number one, because that's a huge issue with the current system with, SWIFT and corresponding banking. So if you're someone in Nigeria, which we do have some of these challenges, if you're trying to pay for online services, and even just generally using fiat payment rails, there are a lot of restrictions with regards to either how much money you're allowed to spend, which ironically is supposed to be your money, but people have to understand that once you get involved with banks, it's no longer your money, which is something that Bitcoin helps shed light on. Before Bitcoin, I didn't really know how a lot of these things work, but that's another reason. And another thing is with regards to the general idea of freedom. So if you think about it, the moment we see any sort of clamping down on whether it's human rights or individual rights, either as a country or nation states, what we tend to see is people moving towards adopting Bitcoin. And that's not a coincidence, really. I don't see it as a coincidence. I see it as a direct result of the fact that Bitcoin is freedom money. So the moment you have some of these crises around the world, whether it's for, whether it's protests or you're having authoritative regimes or you're having any sort of infringement on rights, you tend to see people flock to Bitcoin. And it's not the same for any other project. And like I said, that's the result of it uniquely being, you know, um, a monetary network, an asset that allows you to really become self-sovereign from that perspective. So I think just to cut it up, into a single answer, it'd definitely be because Bitcoin is freedom money. And again, if you're allowing individuals to have this sort of freedom, it removes some of the constraints that they see. So even from the perspective of like financial sovereignty, or we're talking about financial inclusion, especially with individuals that don't have bank accounts, not because they can't get one, but because there are a lot of challenges with opening a bank account and maintaining it. Again, with some of the service charges that people experience with bank accounts, the same isn't applied for Bitcoin, for example. There's no service charge and all those kind of things. You actually own your money. No one can spend your money on your behalf. Another thing, obviously, is with regards to how cheap it is for you to actually spend those Bitcoins. So, with a lot of these other projects, especially Ethereum, that likes to be touted as, Bitcoin's competitor, you see a lot of the issues around individuals not being able to actually use this monetary network from the perspective of individuals that are not, super rich or uber rich. So these are average folks that are just trying to send money back and forth, either for remittance or even local commerce. So Bitcoin solves a lot of that. It streamlines that entire flow from perspective, allowing it to have access to a global monetary network that's cheap, fast, and instant, especially with integration of the Lightning Network. If you think about it, fine, all the way in some other country outside of Africa, like let's say Chicago or Hong Kong, for example. Number one, I won't face any restrictions with regards to sending money back home. What I end up sending is a large chunk of the actual money, especially through the Lightning Network. So if I was going to send, $100, for example, I could do that instantly via the Lightning Network. If I was going to send 100,000, I'll do that instantly via the Lightning Network. And another thing is people like to say, oh, you could send large amounts to via regular fiat monetary networks. But the thing is, you can't do that cheaply and instantly. It's impossible. And you could only do that via
Mm.
Bitcoin. So a lot of these benefits that we have that range the entire, or should I say, span the entire monetary context, so to speak, is it's only possible to do with Bitcoin. All their projects fail at some point, whether we're talking about censorship resistance, instant settlements, or cheap instant settlements. A lot of that combination of value that we see in Bitcoin, a lot of the projects simply do not have that. So again, that's the main reason why I feel it's very, very important for us to not only build on Bitcoin, but to really grow the ecosystem. So education, pushing it out to people, because again, those who are supposed to benefit from all these values are average folks, and they can't benefit from it if they don't know about it. So a lot of my work doing on the ground, education with regards to teaching people about Bitcoin, how to secure their coins, how to use Bitcoin correctly, not doxing themselves or what do you call it, address reusing and all of that. And another important part is, work with Qala, for example, with actually training the developers to build some of these tools, services, and products that have the African context in mind. So yeah, really,
Mhm.
that's the main reason why every day, I'm lucky. I would consider myself to be able to work in the space and actually be this closely involved, either from the perspective of an investor or a developer or just an average Bitcoin user. So, that's the main reason
That's
why
a
I'm
great
working on it.
answer.